Have you ever wondered what would happen if you truly believed without a doubt that your desire could be yours by tomorrow morning? Tonight, you'll discover the ancient method of assuming your wish is already fulfilled. Not next week, not next year, but by tomorrow. We're diving into the art of manifesting overnight using the timeless power of imagination, assumption, and feeling. If you do this correctly tonight, you will watch reality rearrange itself by morning. It was during a time of great uncertainty I was in New York with barely enough money to sustain me for another week. I needed a certain sum by tomorrow. Not in theory, not in hope. I needed it to be real. So I did the only thing I truly knew to be real. I closed my eyes that night and went within. I saw the scene as though the money had already come. I did not merely see it, I felt it. I heard the voice of a friend congratulating me. I felt the crisp texture of the bills in my hands. I imagined myself signing the receipt of a payment already received. Then I slept in that state. I did not beg. I did not ask. I assumed. And by morning, yes, by morning, an unexpected call brought me the very thing I had embodied the night before. The world, having no choice, obeyed the command of my inner state. Your imagination creates reality. This is not idle daydreaming. This is the creative act itself. Tonight, before you sleep, enter the scene of your fulfilled desire. Do not observe it as something outside you. Enter it. Occupy it. What would you do if your desire was already fulfilled? What would you see? What would you hear? Whom would you speak with? What would they say? And most importantly, how would you feel? That feeling, once fully accepted, once saturated into your being, must externalize. This is not delayed magic. It is instant in the unseen and swift in the seen. When you act as if the thing is already yours, your subconscious moves the pieces of reality to reflect it. Tonight, your work is simple. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Do not look at tomorrow with worry. Look at tonight with certainty. Your world is yourself, pushed out. Change yourself, your inner state, and the outer world has no choice. Use your imagination with clarity. Build a vivid scene of fulfillment. Involve all your senses. See, touch, hear, and embody the desire. Do it before sleep. Sleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Avoid doubting or checking how. The bridge of events is not your concern. Maintain inner certainty. Refuse to let appearances sway your inner state. Do not repeat or beg. One true assumption is more powerful than repeated pleas. Feel gratitude now. Gratitude assumes it is already done. What would the world look like if your desire were already fulfilled? That is the only question worth asking when you seek to manifest anything at all. The great secret, the divine creative law, lies not in effort, nor in hoping, but in the bold act of assumption, the deliberate choice to dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, as though it were already so. To assume the end as already true is to take your desire, clothe it in feeling, and then live from it, not towards it, not beside it, but from it, as though it were already your reality. Most people attempt to create by looking at what is. They look at their bank balance, their relationships, their bodies, and say, "This is who I am." But this is the illusion. The truth of who you are lies not in what appears, but in what you accept as real within. When you assume the end, you are not waiting for change, you are the change. You have entered a new state of being. You are no longer the person seeking, you are the person who has already received. Imagine, just for a moment, that the thing you long for has been accomplished. Feel it, sense it. How does your breath move? How do you carry yourself? What kind of thoughts flow through your mind? Who are you now? This is not empty fantasy. This is creation at its purest. When you persist in the assumption of the wish fulfilled, all the forces of the universe are compelled to make it visible. Why? Because consciousness is the only reality. What you are conscious of being, you become. There is a vast difference between thinking of your desire and thinking from it. To think of it is to keep it outside yourself. It becomes a thing to be grasped, chased, reached for. But when you think from it, you have entered into it. You have become one with it. And the world must mirror that inner movement. To assume the end is to claim, without any physical evidence, that it is already done. This requires faith, not in some outside force, but in the unseen reality within you. It requires the boldness to say, it is so, even when nothing around you confirms it. Let the world contradict you. Let appearances mock your vision. It does not matter. The only thing that matters is your internal state. If you maintain your assumption, the world must conform. You are not called to beg, plead, or struggle. You are called to accept, to believe that what you have assumed is already yours, that the feeling of accomplishment is the only proof you need. You may ask, but how can I live from the end if I see no sign of it in the outer world? The answer is simple. You must value your inner reality more than the outer one. The outer world is the echo. Your assumption is the voice. Speak the word within, and the world will reflect it without. Every creation begins with a seed, the seed of thought, feeling, and imagination. But it is not enough to simply plant it. You must nurture it through assumption. You must protect it from the winds of doubt and the storms of fear. You must live as though the harvest is guaranteed, because it is. If you seek love, do not wait for someone to love you. Become the one who is already loved. Feel cherished. Walk through the world as someone who is adored and respected. The world will respond accordingly. If you seek wealth, do not wait for the money to arrive. Walk, speak, and think like someone who is already prosperous. Let the feeling of abundance color your thoughts and decisions. Money will appear as naturally as breath. If you seek healing, do not observe the symptoms. Observe only the wellness you desire. Assume it, feel it, rest in it. Let your assumption be so real that it overrides every appearance to the contrary. There is nothing more powerful than the person who lives from the end. Such a person is unmoved by the winds of circumstance. They no longer react to the world, they command it, not through force, but through inner alignment. The assumption of the wish fulfilled is not something you visit once or twice. It is a dwelling place, a state of consciousness you enter and refuse to leave. If you persist in that state, reality must conform to it. It cannot resist. The world does not respond to your desires. It responds to your assumptions. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. And what you are is the sum total of what you believe and feel to be true. This is the secret most never learn. You are always assuming something. The question is, are you assuming from lack, or are you assuming from fulfillment? Are you entertaining thoughts of absence, or are you embracing the feeling of the answered prayer? To live from the end is not just a technique, it is a way of being. It is to know that imagination is not fiction, it is fact. It is the first cause of all that appears. And when you master your inner world, the outer must yield. Tonight, go within. Close your eyes. Enter the scene of your fulfilled desire. Do not wish. Do not want. Assume. Step into the version of yourself who already has what they long for. Let that assumption saturate your mind, your heart, your breath. Let it live in you, and you will see, you will witness the miraculous. For the world is not separate from you. It is shaped and molded by the invisible assumptions you carry. You have only to believe, not in effort, not in struggle, but in the reality of your desire. Let it be done within, and it shall be done without. That is how you manifest by tomorrow. That is how you claim what is already yours. That is how you assume the end. Imagination is not idle fantasy. It is not a child's game or fleeting escape from reality. Imagination is the workshop of the soul. It is the place where all things are formed before they are seen. Everything you now behold, your surroundings, your relationships, your possessions, even your body, was once imagined, whether consciously or unconsciously. It was first accepted within and then externalized without. To use imagination with clarity is to take hold of the creative power and guide it deliberately, purposefully. Without clarity, imagination is scattered. It is like a light diffused through fog. It glows, but it does not burn. Yet when focused, imagination becomes a beam, a force of nature. That which is held in the mind with precision and emotion must come forth into form. There are those who say they imagine daily, but they do so with vagueness, with uncertainty. They imagine outcomes that are half-formed, blurred, tainted by doubt. They do not see the end, they see the wish. And so it remains a wish, never a creation. But the one who imagines clearly, who defines the scene, who knows exactly what they would be doing if their desire were fulfilled, and enters that scene repeatedly with feeling, that one transforms their world. Let us consider the process. You have a desire. Let it be simple. You desire a new home. Do not concern yourself yet with how it will come. That is not your work. Your task is to create the end scene that implies the desire has already been realized. What would you do if you were living in that home? Would you be hosting a friend for tea? Would you be admiring the view from your window? Would you be sitting by a fireplace, reading your favorite book? Choose one simple scene that would be natural and true if your desire were fulfilled. Let it be a moment, not a story, a snapshot, not a film, a single event that encapsulates the reality of your wish come true. Then close your eyes, enter that scene, not as a distant observer, but as a participant. You are not watching yourself, you are yourself in the scene. Feel the texture of the couch beneath you, smell the scent of the room, hear the gentle clink of the teacup, the sound of a friend's voice, the soft hum of life around you. This is where clarity becomes power. The more vivid the scene, the more real it becomes in the inner world. And the inner world, though unseen, is first cause. What is impressed upon it must by law be expressed in the outer world. There is no virtue in complexity. Keep the scene simple, short, and rich in sensory detail. Let it be something you can revisit again and again without strain. Repetition with feeling is the secret. Repetition without clarity is noise. Clarity requires that you remove all contradictions. If you desire love, but imagine yourself alone, you have divided your power. If you desire success, but entertain images of failure, your imagination becomes a battlefield instead of a sanctuary. You must choose the state you wish to embody, and then dwell in it without compromise. Imagination is not a servant of reason. It does not obey the limits of logic. It flows where you direct it, and it builds whatever you dare to sustain. Now, let me speak to those who claim they cannot visualize. It is not the eye that is required, but the feeling. Do not be concerned with perfect imagery. Concern yourself with inner aliveness. If you cannot see the colors, feel the presence. If you cannot shape the faces, hear the sounds. If you cannot hear the voices, sense the atmosphere. Your imagination speaks in many ways, through sight, sound, touch, emotion. Find the gateway that is most natural to you and enter there. The clarity you seek is not about sharp visuals, it is about emotional conviction. To use imagination with clarity is to make the invisible real to you. So real, in fact, that the world outside becomes the illusion and the world within becomes the truth. And in time, the outer must yield. It must mirror that which has been accepted in the silence of your soul. All transformation begins in the unseen. The man who builds a house first sees it in mind. The artist who paints a masterpiece first dreams it in thought. The woman who walks in confidence first imagines herself as worthy. Every outer change has an inner root. So tonight, instead of telling the world what you want, tell your imagination what already is. Feed it scenes of fulfillment. Saturate it with gratitude and joy. Let the clarity of your inner world become stronger than the noise of the outer. Do not waver, do not shift from one desire to another like a leaf tossed by the wind. Choose the end, define it clearly, and enter it with the full power of your inner senses. Hold to it, nourish it. Make it your home, and it shall come to pass, not by effort, not by striving, but by the unseen hand of life responding to your assumption. For imagination is not a dreamer. It is the dream made flesh, and what you dare to imagine clearly, you shall hold in your hands. The secret of creation lies not only in imagination, but in the full occupancy of your desired state. You are not merely a spectator in your inner world. You are its architect, its artist, its actor, and its breath. And to create convincingly, you must bring life to the scene by involving all your senses. You must feel it as though it were real, because to your subconscious it is. When you imagine passively, you plant seeds in dry soil. But when you involve your senses, when you hear, touch, taste, smell, and feel, you awaken the creative power that responds not to ideas, but to experience. The body may rest, but the mind does not sleep. The senses, when employed inwardly, activate the law of assumption with depth and certainty. Suppose you wish to manifest a new home. Do not simply say, "I have a new home." That is words thin and dry. Instead, close your eyes and step inside. Reach out and touch the doorknob. Is it brass, glass, warm from the sun, or cool from evening air? Open the door. Feel the gentle resistance of its hinges. Smell the wood, the flowers on the entry table, the faint scent of fresh paint. Walk barefoot across the floor. Is it carpet, hardwood, or tile? Let your imagination register the texture beneath your feet. Look out the window. What do you see? Are there trees swaying in the breeze? Can you hear birds' song or the hum of a distant city? Then sit. Perhaps there's a soft couch waiting for you. Feel it embrace your body. Hear the soft murmur of a loved one calling your name from another room. Let your mind hear it clearly, as though it were truly spoken. The more senses you involve, the more real it becomes to your inner self. And once it is real within, the outer must conform, not by chance or manipulation, but by natural law. The senses, when used inwardly, are not mere memory or imagination. They are instruments of creation. The mind cannot distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is physically experienced. This is why dreams can cause your heart to race or bring tears to your eyes. This is why a memory, once relived in detail, can alter your present mood. The subconscious accepts what it feels, not merely what it hears in words. If you desire to manifest wealth, do not say, "I am rich," and wait for change. Instead, involve your senses. Hear the sound of a pen as you sign a contract or deposit. Feel the texture of fine clothing on your skin. Taste the richness of a celebratory dinner. Smell the clean scent of a new car, the leather, the polish. Let your imagination feast on the experience of prosperity. If you seek love, do not repeat empty affirmations. Instead, walk hand in hand with your beloved in the theater of your mind. Hear their laughter. Feel the warmth of their touch. Smell the perfume on their skin. Let your heart respond to the joy of their presence. You are not imagining to get them. You are embodying the reality where they already are with you. This kind of inner experience is not fantasy. It is rehearsal. It is embodiment. It is alignment with the version of you that already lives in the fulfillment of your desire. And once you consistently return to that place within, life outside has no choice but to match it. Many try to create change by repeating words, but words without feeling are as lifeless as shadows. It is sensed experience, not verbal repetition, that impresses the subconscious. You may say, "I am healed" 1,000 times, but unless you feel what it is to be well, to breathe with ease, to move with joy, you will remain bound by the old belief. So when you prepare to imagine tonight, do not do so casually. Enter the scene fully. Touch the walls, hear the voices, taste the fruit, smell the flowers, feel the emotion. Let every part of you say, "This is real." Let the experience become so convincing that when you open your eyes, the outer world feels dim by comparison. If you find it difficult to visualize, then emphasize other senses. Can you hear better than you can see? Then listen. What would the world sound like if your desire were fulfilled? Would there be applause, laughter, a phone call of congratulations? Focus there. If you feel deeply, let emotion be your bridge. Joy, gratitude, relief, these too are sensory signatures. They signal to the subconscious that the desired state has arrived. The inner senses are not bound by the laws of the outer world. They are faster, freer, more alive. You can step into a mansion or a meadow in an instant. You can speak to someone far away and feel their voice as though they were beside you. Use this divine faculty. Give it detail, give it richness, give it weight. The more real it is within, the faster it will appear without. For the world outside is not a fixed stage, it is a reflection. And when the inner mirror is lit with vivid sensory truth, the outer world cannot help but reflect its brilliance. You were never meant to wish without form. You were meant to feel your way into being. So tonight, when you close your eyes, let the scene come alive. Let it awaken every part of you. Let it be so real, so vibrant, that when you rise in the morning, you carry its fragrance with you. And the world will answer, not because you asked, but because you became. There is a doorway between waking and sleep, a gentle threshold where the conscious mind begins to loosen its grip and the subconscious stands open and receptive. This in-between place is not to be feared or rushed through. It is to be entered deliberately with purpose and attention. For in that sacred pause between full awareness and the descent into dreams, you find the most fertile ground for creation. It is here where imagination takes root and impresses itself upon the deeper self. When the body relaxes, when thought begins to slow, and the world around you starts to blur, you are entering the state akin to sleep. And in this state, neither fully awake nor fully asleep, you hold the key to the most powerful form of manifestation. This is the moment when the veil thins and you may speak directly to the subconscious without resistance. And what is accepted there without interference must become your outer reality. You do not need to force this state. It is as natural as the setting sun. Each night, without fail, you drift toward it. But the difference is now you drift with intention. You do not fall into sleep blindly. You glide into it as a creator, carrying your chosen scene, your fulfilled desire in your heart and mind. Begin by quieting the senses. Let the noise of the day dissolve. Release concern over time, effort, or technique. This is not about struggle. It is about surrender, not to defeat, but to the deeper self. You surrender the old story and step into the new, gently, persistently, willingly. Lie still. Let your breath slow. And as your body becomes heavy with relaxation, allow your imagination to rise, not to analyze or to question, but to create. Call forth the scene that implies your desire has been fulfilled. It need not be long. A single moment, repeated nightly with vivid feeling, will carry more power than hours of idle wishing. Suppose you wish for reconciliation with someone you love. Do not imagine the process. Imagine the result. See yourself embraced. Hear their voice greeting you with joy. Feel the peace and ease between you, as though no time or pain had ever come between. Enter that scene. Let it unfold. Then repeat it gently, without effort, until the feeling becomes natural. Or perhaps you long for financial freedom. Do not imagine money floating through the air. Imagine the experience that proves the money is already yours. Hear the laughter of a friend as you celebrate your success. See the numbers in your account as though they were already there. Let your fingers move in imagination across the pages of a document that confirms your wealth. Whatever the scene, let it be real to your inner eye and felt in your body. This is not pretending, this is claiming. And once you feel that it is real, stop right there. Do not dilute it by adding complexity or asking how it will come. Your only task in this sacred state is to accept it as already done, feel the joy, the gratitude, the certainty, and then allow sleep to take you. For when you sleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you hand it over to the subconscious without resistance. And the subconscious, unlike the reasoning mind, does not argue, it does not calculate probabilities or seek proof. It accepts whatever you feed it in feeling, and then through the natural course of life, it moves all things to bring your assumption into view. This is the beauty of the state, akin to sleep. You are not attempting to influence the outer world, you are impressing the inner one. And the outer world, being its shadow, must reflect the new inner state. You do not will it, you simply embody it. Many people spend their nights rehearsing worries. They drift to sleep with fear, regret, or longing. And so they rise each day into a world molded by those same impressions. But you, knowing the power of this sacred state, choose differently. You enter sleep with the feeling of fulfillment. You plant the seed of your desire in the fertile soil of your subconscious, and you trust because you know it is already done. It does not matter what the day showed you. The outer world is old news, a mirror of previous assumptions. Do not be swayed by it. Tonight, before you sleep, revise it if needed. Replace the unwanted scene with the one you choose. Forgive the past. Release the resistance. And enter your chosen reality with full belief that it already exists. When practiced regularly, this becomes a way of life. You no longer seek change through effort alone. You allow transformation through assumption. An assumption is most potent when it bypasses the critical mind. The state akin to sleep is not merely rest, it is access. It is the open door to the creative power that lives within you. So go there deliberately. Lay down your burdens. Slip into that gentle rhythm between waking and sleep. Let your imagination lead you, not as a servant of facts, but as the master of experience. Feel the wish as fulfilled. Touch it, hear it, live it, and fall asleep wrapped in that inner certainty. For that which is felt in this holy silence, this still and yielding space, will echo into the visible world, not as chance, but as law. And the law is always faithful to what is impressed upon it in feeling. The feeling is the secret. What you feel as true becomes your truth. For you do not manifest what you want, you manifest what you are conscious of being. Desire alone changes nothing. But when desire is united with the feeling of its fulfillment, the seed is sown and the harvest must follow. To feel it real is to bypass the intellect and move into knowing. It is to step beyond wishing, beyond hoping, and into the deep silent conviction that what you desire is already yours. This is not a mental exercise, it is a spiritual act. You are not trying to convince the world, you are assuming your rightful place in the unseen, knowing that the seen will conform. When you close your eyes to imagine, you are not pretending. You are selecting, you are tuning the frequency of your inner being to the reality in which your desire has already come to pass. And feeling is the dial. It is the energetic key that opens the door between the imagined and the real. Suppose you desire a new life, freedom from lack, love where there has been loneliness, peace where there was chaos. Then you must go there inwardly first. You must enter that version of yourself who is already living in that new reality. Do not ask how it will come to be. That is not your part. Your part is to feel the reality of it now, in this very moment, while it is yet unseen. The outer world is always catching up with the inner man. You do not wait for change and then feel joy. You feel the joy now, and change follows. You do not wait for love to arrive before feeling worthy. You feel worthy and love appears. You are the cause. You are the center. The outer is always the shadow of your inner state. So the question is never whether the world will give you what you want, but whether you will give yourself permission to feel that you already have it. This is the act of faith, not in another, not in chance, but in the eternal law that feeling impresses itself upon reality. If you desire health, feel yourself already vibrant, not someday, now. What would it feel like to move freely, to breathe easily, to rest deeply? Assume that posture, breathe that breath, walk in imagination as the healed man or woman, and let that feeling become your dwelling place. If you desire abundance, do not wait for the figures to change. Feel the security now. What does financial freedom feel like, not just in words, but in sensation? Would your chest expand with ease? Would your shoulders drop, free from worry? Would you speak differently, choose differently, live differently? Then begin now. Even if the outer seems unchanged, begin now. Because what is felt within must be made flesh without. To feel it real, you must leave logic behind. Logic binds you to what has been. Feeling leads you to what is possible. The mind will argue, but the feeling will move mountains. The mind will say, but I do not see it. And you will answer, yet I feel it. And in time, what you feel will take shape, and the world will catch up with the assumption you have held in the silence of your soul. Let every desire be translated into a state of being. Do not just desire to travel. Feel yourself as one who travels. What clothes do you wear? What language surrounds you? What sights greet your eyes? Breathe it in. Walk through that scene in your imagination until it becomes natural. For when it becomes natural, it becomes inevitable. Repetition is key. Feeling must become familiar. Just as a path becomes smoother each time you walk it, so too does the path of your assumption become more secure each time you return to it. Revisit your scene. Relive your state. Return to it nightly and allow it to grow roots in your subconscious. Do not worry whether you are doing it perfectly. Perfection is not required. Conviction is. Feel it real with sincerity, and it will become so. Let the emotion rise within you, not in strain, but in joy. The feeling is not forced. It is received. When the scene you imagine touches the heart, you know it is done. You feel the tears of gratitude before the gift has arrived. You laugh in delight at a joke not yet told in the world of men. That is the secret of creation. To feel the invisible so deeply that it becomes visible. And you do this in silence, not by effort, but by acceptance. You assume the new state, you feel its truth, and then you rest, not in idleness, but in faith. For you have done the inner work. The seed is planted. And you do not dig up the seed to check its progress. You water it with feeling. You feed it with belief. And you wait, not in doubt, but in certainty. Because you know the law is unfailing. What you feel as true persists. What you persist in feeling becomes form. So tonight, go within. Choose the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Let it fill you. Let it saturate your being until you are no longer wanting, but having. No longer asking, but knowing. And in time, the world will mirror that knowing back to you, not as magic, but as law. To live in the end is to live as though the thing you desire is already yours. It is to abandon the former self, the one who wished, who hoped, who lacked, and to assume the new self who has already received. This is not a game of make-believe. This is the law of consciousness. For what you are conscious of being, you become. The moment you conceive a desire, you are given its fulfillment in potential. but it must be brought from potential into form through inner assumption. It is not enough to ask or to wish. You must go straight to the end and occupy it. Let your mind and heart dwell in the state where the desire is no longer a future possibility, but a present reality. You do not need to know how it will come to pass. The how is never your concern. The bridge of incidents, the means by which your assumption is made visible, is not your responsibility. What belongs to you is the inner state. What belongs to the world is the outer result. And the outer always follows the inner. Living in the end means that you stop looking for signs. You stop waiting. You stop measuring time or progress. You dwell entirely in the fulfilled state. You no longer say, I will have, or it is coming. You say instead, it is done. And you live from that truth, even when your senses tell you otherwise. The senses are slow to respond. They echo past beliefs. But the subconscious does not wait. It moves instantly when impressed by your inner conviction. So do not argue with the outer world. Do not fight the appearance of lack or delay. Simply return to the end. Return to the inner scene that implies your desire is already realized. Feel it, accept it, live it. And the world must rearrange itself to mirror that state. Suppose your desire is a loving relationship. Living in the end means no longer feeling the absence of love. It means walking through life as someone who is already cherished, already chosen, already whole. You carry yourself differently, you speak differently, not to impress others, but because you know who you now are. You move in the world as one who has already received. You are no longer reaching, you are radiating. If you desire a new career, do not dwell in the idea of searching for one, dwell in the reality of already being it. See yourself performing the role, engaging with clients or colleagues, receiving the recognition and compensation that naturally follows from that state. And as you live inwardly in the end, your outer circumstances must evolve to match that vibration. The mistake many make is to dwell in the middle. They focus on the process, on the obstacles, on the time it might take. But the middle is uncertain. It is unstable. It invites doubt. The end, however, is sure. It is still, it is powerful, it is already complete. And when you live there, fully, repeatedly, persistently, you align your entire being with the result you seek. To live in the end is to become emotionally at home in your desired state. It means you are no longer yearning for it, you are it. You are not longing, you are remembering. You are not asking, you are allowing. And in this state, you act not to get, but to express. Your actions flow from being, not from needing. This inner shift transforms everything. When you live in the end, the struggle falls away. You do not push against the world, you pull from within. You create from fullness, not from fear. And what you assume to be true within must express itself without, for consciousness is always externalizing itself. Do not concern yourself with appearances. They are echoes. They reflect what you once believed. But now, in this moment, you believe differently. You assume a new end. You write a new chapter. And the world must follow the script you hold within. Each day, return to the end. When doubts arise, they are not enemies. They are signals that you have left the state. So gently return, revise the moment, restore the scene, reaffirm the end. And do it not once, but again and again, until the assumption becomes natural, until it feels like coming home. This is the work. Not labor in the world, but alignment within. The inner world governs the outer. The outer is only the reflection. So plant yourself in the end and let the seed grow, not by force, but by natural law. Even when nothing seems to change, know that everything is changing because you are. You are no longer who you were. You are no longer hoping, you are knowing. No longer waiting, you are being. And being is creation. Live now as though it were already done, not with pretense, but with presence. Let every word, every thought, every step be a confirmation of your fulfilled desire, and you will find that the world bends not to your will, but to your awareness. For to live in the end is not to control, it is to align. It is to surrender to the truth of your imagination and let the world reflect it in perfect time. There is only one creative power in man, and that power lies not in the outer actions, but in the impressions made upon the subconscious mind. The subconscious is the womb of creation. It does not reason, it does not argue, it accepts. It is pure receptivity, and what is planted in it, whether in faith or in fear, will surely grow. To impress the subconscious is to give birth to experience, and that impression is always made through feeling. No matter what you consciously desire, it will not come to pass unless it is felt to be true by the deeper self. The conscious mind may say, I want wealth, or I want love, but if the subconscious still holds the imprint of poverty or loneliness, that will remain the reality reflected outwardly. The world does not mirror what you want. It mirrors what you are, and what you are is the result of the ideas impressed persistently upon your subconscious mind. There is no mystery in this. It is the way of all creation. Every invention, every movement, every achievement was first an idea. But more than an idea, it was a felt reality within someone. It was impressed with conviction, with passion, with deep belief, and so it took form. The difference between idle fantasy and manifested experience is the depth of the impression made on the subconscious. You do not impress the subconscious with repetition alone. You impress it with emotion, with vivid imagery, with belief sustained in silence. You may speak 1,000 affirmations by rote and yet change nothing. But one deep moment of genuine feeling, a flash of knowing in stillness, can rewrite your entire life. This is why the state akin to sleep is so powerful. In that moment before sleep, the conscious mind grows quiet and the gate to the subconscious swings open. Whatever you present to it then with feeling slips past resistance and is accepted as truth. That is the time to dwell in the wish fulfilled, to feel the joy, the relief, the gratitude, as though what you long for has already arrived. Suppose you desire freedom, freedom from financial strain. It is not enough to simply say, I am wealthy. That statement, if not felt deeply, is a mere sound. But if you go into the silence, quiet the body, and imagine the feeling of never worrying about money again, if you see yourself paying a bill with ease, or feel the calm of checking your account and finding abundance, you begin to impress the idea upon the subconscious. If you persist in this nightly, that impression will deepen until it becomes dominant. And once it is dominant, it must manifest. The subconscious responds to certainty, not to pleading. If you feel lack while asking for abundance, it hears lack. If you feel fear while asking for love, it hears fear. It gives you not what you ask for in words, but what you feel to be real. Therefore, speak to it not with begging, but with knowing. Speak in the language it understands, emotion, imagery, conviction. You can revise the past by impressing new meaning upon it. What once caused pain can be reimagined in memory, and as you feel that new memory with intensity, the subconscious accepts it. It does not distinguish between actual and imagined experience. It accepts what is vividly felt, and the outer world, obedient to the inner, will begin to change accordingly. Your task is not to force or to strive. It is to assume, to accept, and to feel, to turn away from appearances and return to the inner image. You are not a servant of facts. You are the creator of them. The facts of today are but the shadows of yesterday's impressions. Change the inner state, and the facts must change in response. Watch what you dwell on, for the subconscious is always listening. The idle thoughts you entertain, the scenes you replay in your mind, The emotions you allow to linger, these are all seeds. They are being planted whether you know it or not. Choose them deliberately. Impress only that which you wish to experience. If fear arises, it is not an enemy but a messenger. It shows you what you have impressed upon the subconscious unknowingly. Do not fight it, replace it. Enter the silence and feel the opposite state. If fear says you are unworthy, then you enter the stillness and feel yourself embraced, celebrated, whole. And as you persist in the new feeling, the old impression fades. Creation begins and ends within. The subconscious does not judge, it obeys. It is your faithful servant, carrying out whatever command you impress upon it through your dominant feeling. Your outer world is but a printout of your inner assumptions. When you understand this, you stop trying to change the reflection and begin to change the source. And so the question is not, what should I do, but what am I accepting as true? What do I believe in silence? What do I feel when I am alone? Those are the impressions that form the foundation of your life, and they can be changed at any moment, not through effort, but through conscious reselection of your inner state. Enter the silence, imagine the scene that implies your wish fulfilled. Feel it real, dwell in that emotion, repeat it until it becomes natural. Impress the subconscious with confidence, and the world will confirm what you have accepted within. Always, to persist in the assumption is to hold steady in the inner knowing, even when every sense seems to deny it. It is to remain faithful to the unseen, to stand unmoved in your belief, not just when it is easy, but especially when it is not. For assumption is not a single act, it is a sustained state of being. You do not visit the desired state, you inhabit it. And through that persistence, the unseen becomes seen. There is a divine interval between the sowing and the harvest, and in that interval lies your test. Will you return to the old self when the world shows you nothing new, or will you remain loyal to the vision you have claimed within? The difference between those who see their desires made real and those who do not is never about worthiness or effort. It is about persistence. It is about refusing to be persuaded by appearances and choosing again and again to live in the inner truth. Each assumption is a seed. When you imagine a scene and feel it to be true, you plant it. But the seed does not bloom overnight. It must remain in the soil of your consciousness undisturbed. If you uproot it with doubt or contradict it with negative thought, it cannot take root. But if you persist quietly, confidently, faithfully, it must grow. It is law. Suppose you desire to be free from a burden, be it emotional, financial, or physical. The moment you assume yourself to be free, you begin the shift. But the outer world may still reflect the old story. The temptation is strong to look at those facts and say, see, nothing is happening. But the wise man does not judge by the senses. He knows the new reality is already forming behind the scenes, so he persists. He returns to the feeling of freedom. He walks as though it were already true. He lives from the end. Persistence does not mean force. It means returning to the state, gently but firmly. When the mind wanders, as it will, bring it back. When the doubts rise, do not wrestle them, replace them. You are not fighting against the old, you are nurturing the new. Water the seed with attention, feed it with feeling, visit it with joy, and trust that it is growing, even when you cannot see the roots. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot dwell in both the problem and the solution. You must pick one. And once chosen, you must remain there. If you desire abundance, do not entertain thoughts of lack. If you desire love, do not dwell in loneliness. You may be tempted to justify the old state, to explain it, to relive it, but each time you do, you re-enter it. Instead, persist in the new. Speak from it, think from it, live from it. Persistence is the great secret, not dramatic effort, not frantic action. Quiet, unwavering inner alignment. The one who persists in his assumption, even when the world says otherwise, bends the world to that assumption. It may come through subtle shifts or sudden changes, but it must come. The world has no choice but to conform to the dominant inner state. You will know you are persisting correctly when peace replaces striving, when you feel the desire not as a longing, but as a presence, when you no longer seek evidence because you feel it already is. That is true assumption. That is the power that moves the invisible into form. Do not confuse persistence with time. It is not about how long you hold the assumption, but how fully. A single moment of complete assumption, deeply felt, can be more powerful than 100 half-hearted repetitions. But until that fullness is natural to you, you return to it, nightly, silently, faithfully. When you lie down to sleep, do not rehearse your worries. Rehearse your fulfilled desire. Drift into sleep from the state of having, not needing. Let your last thoughts be of the life you choose to live. For the subconscious is most open in those final moments, and what you impress then sets the tone for your reality to come. And when you wake, carry it with you, not with strain, but with ease. Live your day as the person who already has what they once sought. Make choices from that identity. Speak with that voice. Think with that confidence. It is not pretending, it is becoming. The law is not mocked. Whatever you assume to be true, consistently and with feeling, becomes your experience. The delay is not in the law, it is in your persistence. And that delay is not punishment, it is preparation. It is the forming of the bridge, the unfolding of the path, the strengthening of your own faith. So persist, not just with the mind, but with the heart. Let the assumption become a habit. Let it live in you so completely that you forget it was ever an assumption. Then it becomes reality, not by chance, but by natural law. And the world, ever faithful, will echo back what you have persisted in knowing. Now you know. The power has never been outside of you. The outer world was never the cause. It was always the reflection. Everything you have ever desired is already yours, waiting for you not to earn it, but to assume it. The secret lies not in striving, but in accepting. Not in effort, but in alignment. Imagination is not idle daydreaming. It is the very instrument of creation. When you learn to imagine boldly, feel deeply, and persist faithfully in your assumption, you begin to touch the eternal laws that shape all things. You become the master of your own fate, not by dominating the world, but by mastering your inner state. You impress the subconscious, not by chance, but by conscious design. You do not beg for change, you embody it. You do not wish for transformation, you become it. And when you live in the end, when you feel the wish fulfilled, when you walk in the knowing that it is already done, the world rearranges itself to reflect your inner conviction. Persist. Do not waver in the face of silence. The silence is sacred. It is the womb where your desire takes form. Let the silence strengthen your faith. Let the unseen become more real to you than what is seen. For the unseen is the root, and the seen is only the fruit. Everything responds to your assumption. The moment you dare to claim what is yours inwardly, you set into motion forces beyond understanding. Stay faithful to that claim, return to it, nourish it, love it, and it shall be made visible, not by chance, but by law. You are the operant power. You are the maker of your world. Assume wisely, imagine boldly, and persist unshakably. For what you truly believe to be true of yourself, in time you shall experience. It is done.